Welcome to the untamed wilderness of prehistoric Asia, a land where the giants of myth and nightmare roamed freely. Picture a time when monstrous bears dwarfed today's Kodiak, and terrifying apes, towering twice the size of modern humans, could rip through the jungle like real-life King Kongs, only far more horrifying. In this ancient world, even the seas were home to monstrous creatures that would make your deepest fears of the ocean seem like a casual swim. Forget the wild animals of today. The beasts of prehistoric Asia were in a league of their own. We are uncovering this primal past and stepping into a world where your wildest nightmares were once reality. Welcome to prehistoric Asia. Deinocheirus, a giant ape-like creature towering over the treetops, Gigantopithecus. For millions of years, this vast continent was home to some of the most terrifying, inspiring, and downright bizarre creatures ever to walk the earth. Giant predators that would make today's lions look like house cats, plant eaters larger than whales, but on land, claws longer than a man is tall, and apes that could look King Kong in the eye. But this is no flight of fancy or Hollywood creation. This is reality, or at least, it was. The ghosts of these ancient beasts still have much to teach us about life, death, and survival on our ever-changing planet. To understand the monsters of prehistoric Asia, we first need to understand their world. The continent we know today would be almost unrecognizable to our ancient ancestors. Over millions of years, landmasses collided, mountain ranges thrust skyward, and seas retreated and advanced. This dynamic landscape created a patchwork of ecosystems, each a laboratory for evolution. From steamy tropical jungles teeming with life, to vast grasslands roamed by herds of giant herbivores, to icy tundras where woolly giants ruled, Asia had it all. And each environment posed its own challenges, spurring the development of incredible adaptations. But it wasn't just the land that was changing. The climate too was in constant flux. Ice ages came and went, transforming the landscape and forcing life to adapt, or die, too. Why Asia? But what made Asia special? Why did this continent, above all others, become a breeding ground for nightmarish creatures? Part of the answer lies deep beneath our feet. Asia's geological history is one of constant change and collision. The Indian subcontinent's ongoing crash into the rest of Asia has created the Himalayas, the roof of the world. This massive mountain range doesn't just dominate the landscape, it influences weather patterns across the entire continent. Asia's relationship with other continents has also played a crucial role, at times connected by land bridges, at others isolated by rising seas. Asia has been both a melting pot of species from different regions and an isolated laboratory where evolution could experiment freely. This combination of diverse landscapes, changing climates, and periodic isolation created the perfect conditions for evolutionary experimentation. It's as if nature had an entire continent as its playground, free to dream up creatures beyond our wildest imaginations. 3. Journey overview. Our journey will take us across vast spans of time, far greater than the human mind can easily comprehend. We'll start over 250 million years ago, in the Permian period, when the first monster predators ruled the land. We'll encounter feathered dinosaurs that revolutionized our understanding of these ancient reptiles. We'll meet mammals that grew to titanic proportions, challenging the dinosaurs' monopoly on gigantism. And we'll dive into ancient seas ruled by reptiles that make today's great white sharks look like minnows. Along the way, we'll grapple with some of paleontology's most intriguing questions. How did these creatures live? What did they eat? How did they behave? And perhaps most tantalizingly, why did they disappear? 250 million years ago, in a world that would be unrecognizable to us today, all of Earth's landmasses have merged into a single supercontinent, Pangaea, and the part that will one day become Asia is about to become the stage for one of the greatest dramas in the history of life on Earth. The Permian world was one of extremes. Vast deserts in the interior of Pangaea, lush forests near the coasts, and at the poles, not ice caps, but temperate forests teeming with life. This was a greenhouse world, warm from pole to pole. The plants too would seem alien to our eyes. No flowers, no grass, instead, forests of giant ferns, towering horsetails, and bizarre seed ferns dominated the landscape. But it's the animals of this time that truly boggle the mind. 2. Early synapsids, the precursors to mammals. Meet Dimetrodon, often mistaken for a dinosaur, but actually our own distant ancestor. This sailback predator was one of the ruling terrors of the early Permian. But it wasn't a reptile, it was a synapsid, the group that would eventually give rise to mammals. Dimetrodon had something revolutionary: differentiated teeth, sharp incisors in front, tall canines, and serrated molars in back. This simple change would prove crucial in the evolution of modern mammals. allowing for more efficient feeding and eventually, the complex teeth we see in most mammals today. But Dimetrodon was just the beginning. As the Permian progressed, synapsids diversified into an astounding array of forms. Some, like the tank-like Scutosaurus, grew to the size of rhinos. Others, like the saber-toothed Gorgonopsids, became some of the first true superpredators. Imagine a creature combining the strength of a bear, the agility of a big cat, and teeth that would make a T-Rex jealous. That was a Gorgonopsid. These nightmare predators ruled the late Permian world, the undisputed kings of their domain, but their reign was about to come to a catastrophic end. 3. The Great Dying, Earth's worst mass extinction. 252 million years ago, life on Earth faced its greatest challenge. In a geological instant, 95% of all marine species and 70% of terrestrial vertebrate species vanished. This was the Permian-Triassic extinction event, also known as the Great Dying. The culprit? Massive volcanic eruptions in what is now Siberia. For thousands of years, lava poured out of the Earth, releasing enormous amounts of greenhouse gases. The planet warmed dramatically, the oceans acidified, and for many species, there was simply nowhere to hide. The mighty Gorgonopsids, the sailback Dimetrodon, the tank-like Scutosaurus, all vanished. Along with countless other species, the world of the Permian was gone, replaced by a hot, inhospitable planet that seemed hostile to life itself. But as we'll see, from this devastation would rise a new world order. 4. Rise of the archosaurs, dinosaur ancestors. In the wake of the Great Dying, the world was ripe for new innovations, and in the harsh environment of the early Triassic, a group of reptiles began to gain an edge, the archosaurs. These early archosaurs might not look like much, small, lizard-like creatures scurrying about, but they had some key advantages: efficient lungs, improved locomotion, and crucially, the ability to thrive in the hot, dry world of the Triassic. Over millions of years, these humble beginnings would give rise to crocodiles, pterosaurs, and yes, the dinosaurs, but that was still in the future. For now, these small archosaurs had to contend with the survivors of the Great Dying, and some of them were truly monstrous. 5. Spotlight creatures, dinocephalians, gorgonopsids, and early ichthyosaurs. Not all of the Permian giants died out immediately. Some, like the massive dinocephalian Tapinocephalus, persisted into the early Triassic. Imagine a rhino-sized vegetarian with a thick, bony skull used for headbutting contests. These bizarre creatures were some of the last echoes of the Permian world. The fearsome Gorgonopsids, too, clung on for a time, but their days were numbered. Unable to adapt to the changing world, these saber-toothed terrors would soon fade into extinction, leaving only their fossilized remains to tell their story. But while life on land struggled, a revolution was happening in the seas. The early ichthyosaurs were appearing, streamlined marine reptiles that would come to dominate the Triassic oceans. These early forms were still serpentine, unlike their later dolphin-like descendants, but they were a sign of the incredible diversity to come. As the Triassic progressed, life began to recover its former diversity. New forms evolved to fill the ecological niches left vacant by the Great Dying. But the stage was set for a new group of animals to rise to dominance, a group that would rule the Earth for the next 165 million years. The age of dinosaurs was about to begin. As we enter the Jurassic period, some 200 million years ago, the world is changing dramatically. The supercontinent Pangaea is breaking apart, and the portion that will become Asia is on the move. This tectonic ballet had profound effects on the climate and ecosystems of prehistoric Asia. As landmasses shifted, new seaways opened, changing ocean currents and weather patterns. The interior of the continent, once a vast desert, began to see more rainfall. The result? A transformation from arid wasteland to a lush, green world. Conifer forests spread across the landscape. Ferns carpeted the forest floor, and in the air, the first hints of flowers began to appear. This was a world ripe with opportunity, and life was quick to take advantage. 2. Rise of the sauropods. And take advantage it did. The Jurassic saw the rise of some of the largest land animals that have ever lived, the sauropod dinosaurs. Meet Mammals, one of Ava's most spectacular sauropods. At up to 35 meters long, this gentle giant was about the length of 3 school buses parked end to end, but its most striking feature was its neck, making up almost half its body length. It's the longest neck of any known dinosaur. But why such a long neck? It's all about feeding efficiency. Mammals could reach high into the treetops, accessing food sources other herbivores couldn't reach, and it could sweep that neck across a wide area without having to move its massive body, saving precious energy. Supporting such a massive body was no small feat. Mammals had a complex system of air sacs extending from its lungs into its vertebrae, lightening its skeleton while maintaining strength. It's a feature we still see in modern birds, the living descendants of dinosaurs. But Mammals wasn't alone. Across Asia, diverse species of sauropods roamed the landscape. These gentle giants were the dominant herbivores of their time, shaping the very ecosystems they inhabited. Yet, where there are herbivores, predators are sure to follow. 3. The apex predators. While the sauropods dominated in terms of size, they were not the top of the food chain. That position belonged to the large theropod dinosaurs, the apex predators of the Jurassic world. One of Asia's most fearsome predators was Sinraptor. At 7.6 meters long, it was smaller than its more famous cousin Allosaurus, but no less deadly. With powerful legs, sharp claws, and a mouthful of serrated teeth, Sinraptor was well equipped to take down prey much larger than itself. Imagine a predator combining the power of a T-Rex with the agility of a cheetah. That was Sinraptor. It likely hunted in packs, taking down sauropods many times its size. The Jurassic forests of Asia echoed with the roars of these terrifying hunters. 4. Early mammals, living in the shadows. But not all of Jurassic Asia's inhabitants were giants. In the shadows of the dinosaurs, a group of small, furry creatures was quietly evolving, the early mammals. Meet Jurassic, a small, shrew-like creature no bigger than a paperclip. Don't let its size fool you, this tiny animal is one of our earliest known ancestors. Jurassic represents a crucial split in mammalian evolution, the divergence of the line that would eventually lead to placental mammals, including humans. These early mammals were likely nocturnal, using the cover of darkness to avoid predatory dinosaurs. They developed keen senses of hearing and smell, and a higher metabolism that allowed them to be active in the cool of night. These adaptations would prove crucial in the mammal's eventual rise to dominance. 5. Spot-like creatures. A. Tuojiangosaurus. Not all dinosaurs were giants. Tuojiangosaurus, a relative of the more famous Stegosaurus, was a medium-sized herbivore that roamed the forests of Jurassic Asia. At about 7 meters long, it was dwarfed by the sauropods, but it had its own unique defenses. Like its cousin Stegosaurus, Tuojiangosaurus sported a double row of plates along its back and a formidable set of spikes on its tail, a weapon so distinctive it has its own name, the Thagomizer. Any predator thinking of attacking Tuojiangosaurus would have to contend with this spiky surprise. B. Yinlong. At the other end of the size spectrum, we have Yinlong. At just 1.2 meters long, this little dinosaur could have fit in the palm of a Mammals, but don't let its size fool you. Yinlong represents a crucial step in dinosaur evolution. Yinlong is one of the earliest known ceratopsians, the group that would eventually give rise to famous horned dinosaurs like Triceratops. But at this early stage, there are no horns or frills. Instead, Yinlong gives us a glimpse into the humble beginnings of one of the most successful dinosaur groups. C. Andrewsarchus. Our final spotlight falls on a creature that bridges the gap between dinosaurs and birds. Andrewsarchus, meaning near bird, is a crucial piece in the puzzle of bird evolution. Perhaps most amazingly, studies of pigment-containing structures in its fossilized feathers have allowed scientists to reconstruct Andrewsarchus's colors. It had a gray body, white stripes on its wing feathers, and a reddish-brown crest on its head. This little dinosaur gives us a vibrant glimpse into the colorful world of the Jurassic. You're walking through a prehistoric forest when suddenly, you come face to face with a creature sporting arms longer than a giraffe's neck and claws that would make Edward Scissorhands jealous. Meet Deinocheirus, the terrible hand. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's not a dinosaur. That's a monster from a B-movie. But trust me, folks, Deinocheirus was very real, and for the longest time, it was also very mysterious. Dr. Park, paleontologist for decades. All we had of Deinocheirus were its massive arms. It was like trying to solve a jigsaw puzzle with only the edge pieces. Imagine trying to guess what your blind date looks like based only on their hands. That's essentially what paleontologists were doing with Deinocheirus for years. And let me tell you, when we finally got the full picture, it was, well, let's just say it wasn't what anyone expected. Turns out, Deinocheirus wasn't the terrifying predator many had imagined. 2. Therizinosaurus, the scythe lizard. Just when you thought dinosaurs couldn't get any weirder, along comes Therizinosaurus, the scythe lizard. Imagine a creature that looks like it's wearing Edward Scissorhands cosplay, but scaled up to the size of a T-Rex. Now, I know we've talked about some pretty bizarre dinosaurs already, but Therizinosaurus takes the cake, eats it, and then probably uses its massive claws to pick its teeth. Dr. Chen, Paleontologist Therizinosaurus is a paleontologist's dream and nightmare rolled into one. Its anatomy is so unique that for years, we weren't even sure which end was which. Let's start with those claws, shall we? At up to 3 feet long, they're the largest hand claws of any known animal, ever. That's right, this dinosaur had talons longer than your average toddler. But here's the kicker, despite looking like it could disembowel a tank, Therizinosaurus was a vegetarian. That's right, all that hardware was for pulling down branches and digging up plants. It's like using a chainsaw to make a salad. But being a vegetarian in the Cretaceous wasn't all peace and love. Those claws also served as a pretty effective deterrent against predators. After all, who wants to pick a fight with a 40-foot-long salad spinner from hell? Therizinosaurus is a prime example of how evolution can produce some truly outlandish designs. It's as if Mother Nature looked at the dinosaur blueprint and said, "You know what this needs? More Edward Scissorhands." But jokes aside, the story of Therizinosaurus is a fascinating example of convergent evolution. Despite being more closely related to carnivorous theropods, it evolved to fill a similar niche to long-necked sauropods. Dr. Lee, evolutionary biologist Therizinosaurus shows us that evolution isn't always a straight path. Sometimes, it takes unexpected turns, resulting in creatures that seem to defy our expectations. As we piece together the puzzle of Therizinosaurus, we're not just learning about a single species, we're uncovering the complex web of life that existed in prehistoric Asia, where even the plant eaters looked like nightmare fuel. The existence of creatures like Therizinosaurus challenges us to broaden our understanding of what's possible in nature. It's a reminder that life will always find a way to surprise us, whether we're looking at the distant past or the world around us today. In the end, Therizinosaurus stands as a testament to the incredible diversity of prehistoric life and a challenge to our imagination. It proves that sometimes, truth really is stranger than fiction, especially when it comes to the creatures that once roamed prehistoric Asia. 3. Shantungosaurus, the giant hadrosaur. Imagine a world where the ground trembles with each step of a creature as big as a school bus. Welcome to the realm of Shantungosaurus, the colossus of the Cretaceous. Now, I know what you're thinking. Great, another big dinosaur. But hold on to your hats, folks, because Shantungosaurus isn't just big, it's the largest known duck-billed dinosaur ever discovered. That's right, this gentle giant could give T-Rex a run for its money in the size department. Dr. Lee, paleontologist, what's truly remarkable about Shantungosaurus is its adaptability. Despite its enormous size, it thrived in the diverse ecosystems of prehistoric Asia. But let's put its size into perspective. Imagine you're at a basketball game. Now, picture the entire team standing on each other's shoulders. That's roughly how tall Shantungosaurus was. And as for length, think of a bowling lane, and then some. But size isn't everything, right? Well, in the world of dinosaurs, sometimes it is. Shantungosaurus's massive bulk likely deterred even the fiercest predators. It's like showing up to a bar fight in a tank. Suddenly, nobody wants to mess with you. However, like many gentle giants today, Shantungosaurus faced its own set of challenges. Its enormous appetite meant constant foraging, making it vulnerable to environmental changes. In a twist of evolutionary irony, the very adaptation that made Shantungosaurus a successful herbivore, its size, may have contributed to its eventual downfall. As the climate shifted and food sources changed, these dinosaurs found it increasingly difficult to sustain their massive bodies. The story of Shantungosaurus is a reminder that in nature, there's no such thing as a perfect adaptation. It's a constant dance of evolution, with each step potentially leading to greatness or extinction. Dr. Wang, paleoecologist studying Shantungosaurus, gives us insights into how ecosystems functioned in prehistoric Asia. These massive herbivores would have shaped their environment, much like elephants do today. But let's not forget the social aspect of these giants. Evidence suggests that Shantungosaurus, like many other hadrosaurs, lived in herds. Imagine the spectacle of a Shantungosaurus migration. It would have been like rush hour traffic, if all the cars were the size of buildings and powered by plants. Their social nature may have provided protection, but it also meant that when food became scarce, entire herds were at risk. It's a stark reminder of the delicate balance in nature, where even the mightiest can fall if the ecosystem can't support them. As we uncover more about Shantungosaurus, we're not just learning about a single species, we're piecing together the complex tapestry of life in prehistoric Asia, where giants roamed and the landscape was constantly shaped by their presence. In many ways, the story of Shantungosaurus mirrors our own relationship with the environment. As the largest land animals of their time, they had a profound impact on their ecosystem. It's a sobering parallel to our own outsized influence on the planet today. In the end, Shantungosaurus stands as a testament to the incredible diversity of prehistoric life and a reminder of the constant interplay between animals and their environment. It challenges us to think about our own place in the ecosystem and the responsibilities that come with being the dominant species on Earth. 4. Yutyrannus, the feathered tyrant. Just when you thought the word Tyrannosaurus couldn't get any more terrifying, along comes Yutyrannus to prove you wrong. Imagine T. Rex's slightly smaller but equally nightmare-inducing cousin. Now add feathers. That's right, folks. This 30-foot-long predator was covered in feathers. But before you start picturing a cuddly, oversized chicken, let me stop you right there. Yutyrannus was every bit as deadly as its more famous relative. Its name literally means feathered tyrant, and let me tell you, it lived up to that name. Dr. Chen, paleontologist. The discovery of Yutyrannus revolutionized our understanding of tyrannosaurids. It proved that even large predatory dinosaurs could be feathered, challenging our preconceptions about dinosaur appearance and evolution. Now, I know what you're thinking. Feathers? On a predator? What's next? A.T. Rex in a tutu? But hear me out. These feathers weren't for flying. Yutyrannus was way too big for that. Instead, they likely served other purposes. Think of it like this: if you've ever seen a peacock strut its stuff, you know feathers can be all about the show. For Yutyrannus, feathers could have been used for display, helping them attract mates or intimidate rivals. And let's face it, if a 1.5-ton feathered monster was trying to intimidate you, it would probably work. But feathers weren't just for show, they also provided insulation, helping Yutyrannus regulate its body temperature. It's like nature's very own thermostat, proving that even in the dinosaur world, fashion could be functional. Dr. Liu, paleoclimatologist. The presence of feathers on Yutyrannus gives us valuable insights into the climate of prehistoric Asia. It suggests that even large dinosaurs might have needed insulation, indicating cooler periods during the Cretaceous. This brings us to an interesting question: if Yutyrannus had feathers, could other tyrannosaurids, including the mighty T. Rex, have been feathered too? It's a debate that's ruffled more than a few feathers in the paleontological community. The implications of this are huge. It's not just about changing how we draw dinosaurs in books. It's about fundamentally altering our understanding of dinosaur physiology, behavior, and evolution. But Yutyrannus isn't just shaking up our view of dinosaurs. It's also changing how we think about the evolution of birds. These feathered tyrants are like the missing link between the scaly monsters of old and the pigeons eating crumbs off your porch. Dr. Zhong, evolutionary biologist. Yutyrannus provides crucial evidence for the dinosaur-bird connection. It shows that features we once thought were exclusive to birds actually have deep evolutionary roots. And let's not forget the ecosystem Yutyrannus lived in. Prehistoric Asia was a complex world, with Yutyrannus likely at the top of the food chain. But even apex predators have their challenges. Climate change, competition from other predators, and the ever-evolving defenses of prey animals would have kept Yutyrannus on its toes. Or should I say, on its feathered feet? The story of Yutyrannus is more than just a tale of a feathered predator. It's a window into a world in transition, where the line between dinosaur and bird was blurring, and where the seeds of modern biodiversity were being sown. As we continue to unearth fossils from prehistoric Asia, who knows what other surprises we might find? Perhaps there are even stranger feathered creatures waiting to be discovered, further blurring the line between the dinosaurs of the past and the birds of today. In the end, Yutyrannus stands as a testament to the incredible diversity of prehistoric life and a challenge to our imagination. It proves that sometimes, truth really is stranger than fiction, especially when it comes to the creatures that once roamed prehistoric Asia. And it reminds us that in the grand story of life on Earth, we're still very much in the middle chapters, with many surprises yet to come. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare to have your mind blown. We're about to meet a tiny dinosaur that changed everything we thought we knew about these prehistoric beasts. Say hello to Sinosauropteryx, the pint-sized revolutionary of the dinosaur world. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's not a dinosaur. That's a weird-looking bird. But hold on to your hats, folks, because this little critter is about to take us on a wild ride through evolutionary history. Dr. Li, paleontologist. The discovery of Sinosauropteryx in 1996 was nothing short of revolutionary. It was the first non-avian dinosaur found with clear evidence of feathers. It quite literally changed the face of dinosaurs overnight. Imagine waking up one day and finding out that everything you thought you knew about dinosaurs was wrong. That's exactly what happened when Sinosauropteryx burst onto the scene. Suddenly, our scaly, reptilian monsters were sporting fuzzy coats, But Sinosauropteryx wasn't content with just shaking up our image of dinosaurs. Oh no, this overachiever had more surprises up its feathered sleeve. Dr. Wang, paleontologist, what's truly remarkable about Sinosauropteryx is the level of preservation. We can see details of its internal organs, the contents of its last meal, and even its color patterns. It's like a prehistoric time capsule. That's right, folks. Thanks to Sinosauropteryx, we now know that at least some dinosaurs were rocking a ginger hairdo. It's like finding out T-Rex was actually a redhead. But let's talk about those feathers for a moment. They weren't the flight feathers we see in modern birds. Instead, think of them more like fuzzy down or hair. It's like Sinosauropteryx was wearing a permanent ornament. Now, you might be wondering, if it couldn't fly, what were the feathers for? Well, much like that sweater your grandma knitted you, they were probably for keeping warm, but they might also have been used for display, like a prehistoric peacock. Dr. Chen, evolutionary biologist. The feathers of Sinosauropteryx give us a glimpse into the early stages of feather evolution. They show us that feathers likely evolved for insulation or display long before they were used for flight. But Sinosauropteryx wasn't just a pretty face. This little dinosaur was a predator, feeding on small lizards and mammals. It's like imagining your neighbor's cat as a time-traveling dinosaur, which, let's face it, explains a lot about cats. The discovery of Sinosauropteryx opened the floodgates for feathered dinosaur findings, especially in Asia. Suddenly, paleontologists were finding feathers everywhere. It was like the prehistoric version of a pillow fight explosion. Dr. Liu, paleontologist. The abundance of feathered dinosaur fossils in Asia, particularly in China, has turned the region into a treasure trove for paleontologists. It's rewriting our understanding of dinosaur evolution and the origin of birds. But Sinosauropteryx isn't just changing how we view dinosaurs, it's changing how we think about evolution itself. The complex feathers and colors of this ancient creature show us that evolution can produce intricate features much earlier than we thought possible. As we continue to study Sinosauropteryx and its feathered friends, we're not just learning about the past, we're gaining insights that could help us understand modern biodiversity and even predict future evolutionary trends. In the end, Sinosauropteryx stands as a testament to the power of fossil evidence and the ever-changing nature of scientific knowledge. It reminds us that in paleontology, as in life, sometimes the biggest revelations come in the smallest packages. So the next time you look at a pigeon strutting down the street, remember, you're watching the distant descendant of creatures like Sinosauropteryx. That ordinary bird is carrying the legacy of millions of years of evolution, a living connection to the age of dinosaurs. And if that doesn't blow your mind, well, you might need to check your pulse. While terror ruled on land, the seas of prehistoric Asia harbored their own nightmares, and none was more terrifying than Mosasaurus, the T-Rex of the sea, up to 18 meters long. Mosasaurus was an apex predator that would make today's great white sharks look like guppies, but it wasn't a shark, or even a fish. Mosasaurus was a marine reptile, more closely related to modern lizards and snakes. Armed with massive jaws lined with conical teeth, Mosasaurus could take on virtually any prey in its environment. It even had an extra set of teeth on the roof of its mouth to ensure prey couldn't escape once caught. This was a killing machine par excellence. Imagine a creature combining the size of a whale, the teeth of a crocodile, and the predatory skill of a shark. That was Mosasaurus, the undisputed king of the Cretaceous seas. 2. Pliosaurus, the giant sea predator. But Mosasaurus wasn't the only terror lurking in Asian seas. Meet Pliosaurus, a marine reptile that was giving nightmares to other sea creatures long before. 3. Smaller but deadly, diversification of marine reptiles. But the terrors of prehistoric Asian seas weren't all giants. A diverse array of smaller, but no less deadly, marine reptiles filled every ecological niche. Take the ichthyosaurs, for example. These dolphin-like reptiles were supreme swimmers, with some species capable of diving to extreme depths. With large eyes for hunting in dim light, they were perfectly adapted for life in the open ocean. Then there were the plesiosaurs, with their long necks and paddle-like limbs. Some scientists have compared their hunting style to a snake striking from a mobile platform. These bizarre creatures show just how strange life could get in prehistoric seas. From the giant Mosasaurus to the smallest ichthyosaur, the prehistoric seas of Asia were a world of evolutionary arms races, where predator and prey constantly adapted to outdo each other. It was a savage world, but one of incredible diversity and specialization. 66 million years ago, the world changed in an instant. An asteroid struck the Earth, triggering a mass extinction that wiped out the non-avian dinosaurs and many other species. But from this catastrophe, a new world would emerge. In the aftermath of the extinction, the world was ripe for new innovations, and one group of animals was poised to take advantage: the mammals. 2. Expanding niches, mammals take over. With the giant reptiles gone, mammals began to diversify and grow. No longer confined to the shadows, they started to fill niches once dominated by dinosaurs. Some became herbivores, evolving complex teeth for grinding tough plant matter. Others became predators, developing keen senses and sharp claws. The stage was set for the rise of the mammals. 3. Spot-like creatures. A. Andrewsarchus. Meet Andrewsarchus, potentially the largest terrestrial carnivorous mammal that ever lived, known only from a single enormous skull. This creature has been the subject of much speculation. At nearly a meter long, its skull was larger than that of a grizzly bear. If the rest of its body was proportional, Andrewsarchus could have been up to 4-5 meters long and weighed up to 1,000 kilograms, about the size of a large horse. But what did this giant eat? Its teeth suggest an omnivorous diet. Perhaps it was a generalist predator and scavenger, using its massive jaws to crush bones and tough vegetation alike. Andrewsarchus reminds us that in the world after dinosaurs, mammals could be just as terrifying. B. Entelodonts, hell pigs. If Andrewsarchus was unsettling, the entelodonts were the stuff of nightmares, often called hell pigs. These weren't pigs at all, but a group of carnivorous even-toed ungulates. With their massive heads, robust bodies, and powerful jaws, entelodonts were formidable predators. Some species stood up to 2-1 meters tall at the shoulder, larger than any modern wild pig. Entelodonts were likely both active predators and scavengers. Their powerful build and bone-crushing teeth suggest they could take down large prey and then consume it entirely, bones and all. In the forests and plains of Paleogene Asia, few animals would have been safe from these hell pigs. 1. Climate cooling and its effects on Asian fauna. As we enter the Neogene period, about 23 million years ago, the world was changing. Global temperatures were cooling, and ice sheets began to advance and retreat in cycles. In Asia, this led to dramatic changes in ecosystems. Forests gave way to grasslands in many areas. Animals had to adapt to these new environments and the increasingly harsh cold. This set the stage for the rise of the Ice Age megafauna. 2. Megafauna adaptations. The challenging Ice Age environment drove the evolution of remarkable adaptations. Thick fur, layers of fat, and large body sizes helped animals cope with the cold. Specialized teeth and digestive systems evolved to process tough Ice Age vegetation. 3. Spot-like creatures. A. Gigantopithecus. Imagine an ape standing 3 meters tall and weighing up to 600 kilograms. This was Gigantopithecus, the largest known primate to have ever lived. Despite its massive size, Gigantopithecus was likely a gentle giant. Its teeth suggest a diet mainly of tough vegetation. Bamboo may have been a staple, much like modern giant pandas. Some have speculated that legends of creatures like the Yeti or Bigfoot might be distant cultural memories of Gigantopithecus. While this is unlikely given the timing of its extinction, it speaks to the impact this giant ape has on our imagination. B. Megantereon. Not all Ice Age predators were giants. Megantereon was about the size of a modern jaguar, but don't let its size fool you. This was one of the most specialized killing machines of its time. Megantereon was a saber-toothed cat, sporting canine teeth up to 20 centimeters long. These weren't for biting, but for stabbing, used to deliver a killing blow to the throat or belly of its prey. Imagine a predator combining the agility of a leopard with daggers for teeth. Megantereon was a nightmare for the herbivores of Ice Age Asia, and potentially for our early human ancestors as well. C. Woolly rhinos and mammoths. No discussion of Ice Age megafauna would be complete without the iconic woolly rhinos and mammoths. These giants were the ultimate symbols of the Ice Age world. Woolly mammoths could stand up to 4 meters tall at the shoulder, covered in thick fur up to a meter long. Their iconic tusks, which could reach 4-2 meters in length, were used for foraging, digging, and combat. Woolly rhinos were no less impressive, slightly larger than modern rhinos and covered in thick fur. They sported forward-pointing horns up to a meter long. These were likely used for sweeping snow away from vegetation as much as for defense. Both woolly rhinos and mammoths survived long enough to encounter humans. They feature prominently in prehistoric art, testament to the impact these Ice Age giants had on our ancestors' lives and imaginations. 9. Humans enter the stage. 1. Early hominids in Asia. Around 2 million years ago, a new player entered the stage in Asia: early humans. Species like Homo erectus began to spread across the continent, bringing with them new adaptations and technologies. These early humans were tool users and fire makers. They were adaptable, capable of surviving in a wide range of environments, but they were also vulnerable, just another prey species in a world still dominated by megafauna. 2. Interactions between humans and megafauna. The relationship between early humans and the Asian megafauna was complex. Sometimes humans were hunters, bringing down animals many times their size with cooperative hunting and tool use. Other times, they were the hunted, falling prey to the formidable predators of the Ice Age. The impact of these encounters can be seen in the art left behind by our ancestors. Cave paintings and carvings often feature the megafauna, showing the deep impression these animals made on the human psyche. 3. The question of extinction, climate vs. human impact. As the Ice Age drew to a close, many species of megafauna began to disappear. The cause of this extinction is still debated. Was it the warming climate, the impact of human hunters, or a combination of both? Whatever the cause, by the end of the Pleistocene, much of Asia's megafauna was gone. The few that remained, elephants, rhinos, tigers, are pale echoes of the vibrant diversity that once roamed the continent. They stand as living remnants of a lost world, the last survivors of prehistoric Asia's realm of nightmares. As we look at Asia today, it's hard to imagine the bizarre and terrifying creatures that once called this land home. From dinosaurs to mammoths, sea monsters to giant apes, prehistoric Asia was truly a realm of nightmares, but it was also a realm of wonders, of evolutionary marvels, and ultimately, the cradle of our own species. In losing this world, we gained our own, but the echoes of that prehistoric nightmare realm live on, in the bones beneath our feet, in the genes of surviving species, and in the deepest recesses of our collective imagination. Imagine a world where rhinos roamed the Siberian tundra, and giant apes swung through the jungles of Southeast Asia. This wasn't some fever dream, it was prehistoric Asia. But why did these monsters evolve here and not elsewhere? While Africa was busy crafting the ancestors of lions and elephants, Asia was running its own evolutionary experiment. The isolated pockets created by Asia's diverse geography, from the Himalayas to the Indonesian archipelago, were like nature's test tubes, brewing up creatures that would make today's wildlife look, well, a bit boring in comparison. Take Gigantopithecus, the King Kong of the primate world. This 10-foot-tall ape didn't just eat, shoot, and leaves, it probably ate entire shoots and left little behind. But why didn't we see similar giants in Africa or South America? Well, sometimes evolution just likes to show off. Parallel evolution, similar niches, different continents. But here's where it gets weird, and trust me, prehistoric Asia was already pretty weird. Sometimes, continents worlds apart would come up with eerily similar solutions to evolutionary problems. It's like nature's version of great minds think alike, if those minds were trying to design the perfect killing machine. The saber-toothed cats of Asia and the marsupial Thylacosmolus of South America both thought, you know what would be cool? Massive canine teeth, different continents, same deadly dental plan. It's enough to make you wonder if Mother Nature has a twisted sense of humor. Intercontinental migrations and their impacts. But prehistoric Asia wasn't just a hermit kingdom of evolutionary oddities. Oh no, it was also Grand Central Station for the who's who of prehistoric animals. Mammoths, early humans, even the ancestors of camels all used Asia as their transcontinental highway. Picture this, a family of mammoths trudging across the Bering Land Bridge, probably complaining about the long walk and asking, are we there yet? Little did they know, their journey would reshape the ecosystems of two continents. Talk about your butterfly effect, or should I say, your woolly mammoth effect? 12. Conclusion: echoes of the past. The transient nature of species and ecosystems. As we wrap up our journey through prehistoric Asia, one thing becomes clear: nothing lasts forever. Species rise and fall, ecosystems change, and life finds a way. It's a humbling reminder that we're just the latest chapter in Earth's epic saga. The lush jungles that once echoed with the roars of saber-toothed cats are now bustling cities. The vast steppes that thundered under the feet of mammoths are now farmlands. It's enough to make you wonder, what will our world look like in a few million years? Lessons for the present: climate change and human impact. But before we get too misty-eyed about the past, let's remember, change is the only constant. The real question is, what role do we play in shaping the future? We've seen how prehistoric life adapted to dramatic climate shifts. Now, as we face our own climate crisis, their resilience offers both a warning and a glimmer of hope. The question is, will we learn from the past, or are we doomed to repeat it? Spoiler alert, the dinosaurs didn't fare so well with rapid change. The importance of paleontology in understanding our world. So why does all this prehistoric knowledge matter? Well, besides giving us awesome material for monster movies, it's our guidebook to the planet. Paleontology isn't just about dusty old bones. It's a crystal ball into potential futures. Every fossil we unearth, every prehistoric monster we discover, adds another page to Earth's autobiography. And let's be honest, it's one heck of a page-turner. So the next time you hear about some new prehistoric Asian creature that looks like it crawled out of a nightmare, remember, you're getting a glimpse of your planet's wild youth. And who knows, maybe a few million years from now, some highly evolved cockroach will be making documentaries about us. Do you think prehistoric Asia was most horrifying compared to any other prehistoric place? Hit that subscribe button now and press on the video now popping on your screen. I'm sure you will love it. Don't forget to leave a like on this video and see you there.